Let's talk about mood changes on the carnivore diet because a lot of people that go on the carnivore diet deal with it. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sylvia. I'm a big city mom and a carnivore diet coach. If you try the carnivore diet, you'll know that transition period happens to just about everyone, and it ranges from bad mood, headaches, flu-like symptoms, grogginess, moodiness. Yeah, there's a lot of it. And eventually it gets better, but it doesn't happen equally fast for everybody. So let's look in those situations when some people can experience longer than expected mood changes when going on the carnivore diet. Generally speaking, about 65% of people that go on the carnivore diet, they will notice mood changes, grogginess, a lack of courage, lack of motivation, feeling hopeless in that transition period. It could be anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to month and a half, 2 months, and then things stabilize, the mood becomes even positive, sustainable, and then you have good energy levels consistently. Now, there is a subset of people, and I'm one of them, that just struggle a lot more for a lot longer before a good mood, even energy levels becomes a consistent reality. And I noticed this, it wasn't just me, because a lot of my clients, now that I coach, have the same issue. Typically, you've been told that if you get into ketosis, your mood will improve because your brain prefers ketones for energy, and then you will be feeling a lot more energetic, happy, and have a positive outlook. And it happened for me as well, and it happens for just about every of my clients, but in some cases it just takes a lot longer, and that transition period where the mood is really unstable sometimes can go on for a few months before it gets better. Now, if you are curious about the transition period, what it is and what symptoms it has, I have a whole video dedicated to it, so I will link it up here and in the description box. Check it out. So for me, it wasn't difficult to get into ketosis. It was really challenging to stay for extended period of time in ketosis, and I was quite focused on it because I was following the paleo-ketogenic diet, PKD version of the carnivore diet, so my ketosis had to be over 2, so I was measuring every day and then every other day. And yeah, I would get into ketosis pretty quickly, but in the beginning I couldn't stay longer than 7 days in ketosis, and then I would break my diet with a bunch of apples typically, or some other fruit, and then I would be back to square one on Monday morning. And my mood was also fluctuating a lot, and actually my mood wasn't all that great, which is why I was breaking my diet. And it took me a few weeks, good few weeks of getting it right for a few days, binging on fruit, then falling out of ketosis, and then starting it all over again. And I did that many times, and my mood sucked throughout that whole time. Then eventually I got better, and I stayed consistently in ketosis for 6 months, and my experience with PKD and reversing of rheumatoid arthritis was really effective. When it comes to the pain levels in my joints, they improved really quickly, but to put the whole disease into remission, I would say it took a few months. And being in ketosis over 2 and following the strict PKD diet for 6 months, when I saw, okay, I'm done with it, now I can be more flexible, introduce more foods, maybe add some fruit, maybe some honey. So I did that past 6 months. But I gotta tell you, my body was rejecting being in ketosis in the beginning, and for a long time I couldn't figure it out, and my mood was not improving by virtue of going into ketosis. And so I noticed the same thing with some of my clients, where we do everything right. The diet is almost perfect, and as perfect as it can be, and it still takes few months before the mood stabilizes. So if you are one of these people that, despite doing everything right, You can't quite relate to the testimonials on YouTube how great the carnivore diet is when it comes to the mood changes and improving of your mood. You are not alone, and you are not the exception. My opinion, and it is all anecdotal by virtue of working with people, I'm not a trained physician, is that some people's gut is so compromised that it really affects the biochemistry of the brain, and it takes really long time. So if you have a gut permeability issue such as autoimmunity, let's say Crohn's and let's say rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, or any other skin issue, the reversing of the disease does happen in the gut, and because the gut wall cells renew themselves every 28 days, you'll see improvements quite quickly. But if the effects of your gut permeability end up somewhere in your brain chemistry, when there are unwanted particles that got to your brain and changed how your brain works, that takes a lot longer to reverse, and you have to be patient. It will happen, but you have to be patient. Now, even though it may feel hopeless in the beginning, there are some telltale signs that you are getting better, even though you don't feel it in your mood. So even though your mood is really bad, you're in the fog, you're really groggy, but your gut is feeling lighter, and you feel a sense of satiety after you eat, and you don't feel bloating or discomfort after you had your meal, even if it's a big carnivore meal, things are improving. Stick with it, your mood will follow as well. Another telltale sign is that even when the bad mood happens, it is not as severe as the earlier episode, and the next episode is not as drastic as the last one. So you start noticing that as you go along with the carnivore diet, the longer you are staying on the carnivore diet, the less severe your mood changes are. Eventually it just all improves. From my own observation, there is a pattern of people that struggle with mood, and that is those who use food to deal with stress, to deal with being lonely, abandoned, to feel happy. If you use food to get that emotional comfort, chances are when you remove all those comfort foods from your diet, you will struggle for a while. And it is not just a question of, being in ketosis, change of the gut microbiome. That too all plays the role in your mood, but also it is psychological and social habitation, that there is a certain pattern and a ritual that you've established over the years that your body will want to repeat and recreate each time you are in the stressful situation, or you feel abandoned or sad, and that mental habituation takes the longest to correct itself. But it happens. It just takes longer. In my case, I was definitely addicted to food as a means of dealing with stressful situations, and my addiction was coffee, even though it wasn't good for me, plus the afternoon pastry with my friends. That was the hardest one to let go, mostly emotionally and psychologically, in that social behavior of dealing with stress by going out with somebody that I like, that is my friend, I sit down in a cafe, drink my cappuccino, and eat something sweet. The social aspect of it was probably the most addictive part. So what if you got diagnosed with mood disorder, or you've been taking medication for a while for mood disorders? I would definitely not attempt the carnivore diet on your own. Definitely work with your physician, especially if you've been taking prescription medication to regulate your mood for a while. If you just got diagnosed, let's say, with depression or anxiety, but you were functioning up until this point without any medication, then maybe. But ideally, you have a physician that understands your dietary objectives and is able to manage your medication plus the changes that your body will experience and your brain when going on the carnivore diet. And if you have a physician that is not open to you experimenting with the diet, then consider changing a doctor. But if you're taking prescription medication, you need to have your doctor monitor you and pretty much check you regularly, your mood, how you are doing, because this isn't something that happens overnight. It isn't an easy fix. Despite all the testimonials, it takes time, patience, a lot of ups and downs, and you need support. Carnivore coach is a good idea, but alone isn't sufficient. Now, the good news is that whether it takes you 2 weeks, couple months, or a few months, eventually, if you stay consistent and committed to the carnivore diet, your mood will improve. In some cases, it has to get to the point where you only eat beef from good sources, salt and water, and that is the bulletproof formula to fix your mood. But I generally don't recommend it from the get-go, because my objective is to achieve as many health benefits and lifestyle nutritional changes in your body with the maximum variety of foods that you can tolerate. Now, in some cases, you have to start eliminating until you get to the point of beef, salt and water. But if I can spare you from it, I'll try to experiment with all kind of different foods before we get there. For some people, and it's not a large number of people, there seems to be this thing with eating just beef from very good sources, salt and water, and that usually fixes everybody's mood. But again, it takes time. So don't worry if you are thinking, I'm in ketosis and my mood isn't great. My gut microbiome had to change after a few weeks of being on the carnivore diet, and still I'm not in the great mood. It might just take longer. Maybe you have to eliminate more foods. Sometimes it is pork, eggs, even butter has to get eliminated before your mood improves, but eventually it does. Just stick with it, write out all the bad days, and you will see a mood improvement on the carnivore diet eventually. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.